having a wonderful day. So it is wrap up time. I only got to read 14 books. Maybe it's just reader's fatigue. I was definitely not reading as fast as I normally did. I did read like 19 books in October, so I was really proud of myself for that. So I think setting myself up for 20 book goal for November was insane. Let's be real. But I got to read 14 books, so that's still not that bad. Just I wanted to read so much more. And I got my notes here. Let's try to make this as quick as possible. First up, I read Every Heart a Doorway. So my goal this month was to read a book a Sunday, because for the Fantasy Fanatics, I always want to say Final Fantasy, for the Fantasy Fanatics book club that I host, Every Heart a Doorway was our book club pick. So I'm like, that's not going to take me that much time. So it didn't. So every Sunday I just picked up another book. So I read the first 5, because that last Sunday, I read 2, and because I could not put them down. I really couldn't. I'm just like, you know what? Let me just start this one too. So let's go through the first 5. Every Heart a Doorway. I love Shannon McGuire. I knew I was going to love Shannon McGuire. I think her writing style is amazing. And I like how she packs such a punch with such... It's a novella. It's a novella. It's like 128, 174 pages max for all 5 of these books. You know, not a single one of them goes past 200 pages or even reaches 200 pages. They're short. They're sweet. Wayward Children. Just think Alice in Wonderland meets Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I mean, these are kids who went through a doorway to a world unlike anything, and they're all very different, and only to find themselves exiled, kicked out for some reason, because they weren't sure. Because, you know, the series is called Wayward Children, but the doors always ask, be sure. Like, be sure that this is the path that you want to take. And all 5 of them are really, really unique. And we have such a vibrant cast of characters. Book 1 introduces us, you know, to Cade, Christopher, Sumi, Nadia. Cora doesn't come in until book 3. You know, Eleanor, who is her own Alice, right? And Lindy, who gets her own novella. And then you have Jack and Jill. Each book is really, really impactful. And I feel like, considering I read them all together, I can't really review one without reviewing the others here. I tried. I did separate them in my notes, but it's just really hard. You know, book 1's really good because it sets up the world and you get these really good characters. And Nancy, she is kind of bland as your main character, but considering her world is the underworld and she wants to be nothing but a statue, right? It's very fitting for her character, because these kids, teenagers, they very much reflect the world that they were in. Sumi is, of course, fan favorite. She does come back in book 3, so I'm very, very excited. And then you have Jack and Jill, twin girls, right? Wow. They're from the moors. Just think Vincent Price, mad scientist, Castlevania. Think that kind of world. It's dark. It's dreary. Has werewolves and all kinds of monsters there that roam the night. But I don't know, I kind of like that. That would kind of be my world, wouldn't it? Probably. Actually, no, I need a world with dragons. Okay? And it follows these really interesting characters. And then book 2 is a prequel, you know? Down Among the Sticks and Bones, right? I always want, yeah. This is a prequel. So book 2 is a prequel. And it follows Jack and Jill and their time in the moors. And you get to see what horrendous things Jill did exactly to get herself exiled. Now, the book is more from Jack's perspective than it is from Jill's. But you get to see why they are the way they are. Not just their upbringing in the moors, but also their upbringing in real life. After that, we've got Beneath the Sugar Sky, which follows Sumi's daughter. And you're just thinking like, well, Sumi died in the first book. How could she have a daughter? we get to go to the world of confection. So this is basically how it is. 1, 3, and 5 are a continuous series. 2 and 4 are prequels. They're standalones that you can read or skip if you so desire. Book 4, In an Absent Dream, it follows Lundy, who again, she did die in book 1. You know, it follows her time in the Goblin Market and what she did to get exiled, but it also reflects a lot of her characterization and a lot of why she is. And then you learn that going to the Goblin Market is a generational thing. And you're like, whoa, mind blown. Did not see that coming. And then come tumbling down just from the title. You know, Jack and Jill went up the hill, right? We're back to the moor. So this continues after book 2, book 3, Beneath a Sugar Sky. And now our cast of characters are going on a whole nother adventure once again. And it's really, really great. I love that 1, 3, and 5 are connected, and I like that 2 and 4 are standalones. I think that was really, really smart on McGuire's part, but again, I'm a huge fan. So it's like, well, I'm giving you this story. However, if you want more backstory or you want to go to different worlds or see different histories, here are the even numbers. And I'm hoping it continues because my goal for December, for my December TBR, is to read the rest of what I own, because 11 hasn't come out yet. So my goal is to read 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I think I can do it. Honestly, 5 stars, short, sweet novels, highly recommend. After all of those, I read The Rebel and the Rose. This is a sequel to The Dagger and the Flame. You know, we have our cast of characters. We have Seraphine and we have Ransom. And I think I like this one better than the first book because we've already done all that world building. You know, world building is done. Now we're really getting into the magic. And now we're really getting deeper into the magic and the saints and some of that political upheaval. And we're also getting a little bit more with that romance with the characters, Seraphine and Ransom, who are enemies turned lovers. Turned lovers again. Ransom is just broody. And now he's the new leader of the Order of the Daggers, which Seraphine's father is part of. He joins so that no one would hunt Seraphine. There's a lot of drama, there's a lot of angst, but lots and lots of plot twists, many of which I did not see coming. We also get a third character in this book. He has very few point of views, one at the beginning to open the book and then one at the end to close the book. And I think that they're really, really well done and structured that way to keep the reader engaged because you're getting little snippets of who this person is. I think what's also really interesting is I feel like that's going to carry over into the third book in that way. He's going to get an even larger perspective in the third book. I'm excited to read the third book, because this one kept me on my toes. It kept me engaged. Like I said, I think I liked it more than book 1 because it was a little steamy at some parts as well. Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. What can I say that I haven't said before? I love Carissa Broadbent. I love Selena and I love Atreus. I think that these are really good characters. They are not exactly enemies to lovers, because he doesn't know that she's an assassin meant to kill him. He just thinks he's protecting her from her cult, from her own goddess, right? And he's been sent on attacks from Nyaxia to conquer this world. And then, you know, the curse that she put on him, because he's House of Blood vampire. We know how those, they're not faring very well with Nyaxia. They did something to piss her off. So, I like the tension. I think Carissa Broadbent is really, really good at that tension. I mean, her books are so hard to put down. I don't want to put them down. I think she's such an excellent writer. I think she's really good at creating that angst. I think she's really good at doing those explicit scenes, like the steamy scenes, without being horribly graphic. I don't like the horribly graphic part. I don't need to know the size. I don't. I know some people do. I do not. That's not my shtick. I like that the sex scenes are done in a tasteful way that also kind of reflect the growing romance between the characters. It's not just hardcore sex. It's like something that's supposed to be viewed as intimate because it is intimate for these characters. And I appreciate Broadbent's writing and her storytelling, and I think that that carries over into the rest of her storytelling. Because she's very emotive, you know? She very much packs a punch, and her stories always have flashbacks. But I like the flashbacks. The flashbacks don't take me out of the novel. The flashbacks, if anything, make me more invested in who these characters are and their journey and what they're doing. And that's something I really, really like about her storytelling, because it's very emotive. Her characterization is very vivid. You know, for Selena, you know the race of people, God. I want to say Marluxia, but I just keep thinking of Kingdom Hearts Marluxia. You know, the ones that wear the blindfolds because they're, you know, force sensitive and they're born, you know, without eyes. She had to give up her eyes, and now she sees kind of like, she basically sees like kind of with the force. That was like the inner nerd in me. God, why can't I remember the name of those people? I'm just keep thinking Marluxia, and I just keep thinking of Kingdom Hearts. I'm like, no, that can't be right. Someone who also knows the fandom will correct me. It's just been a while since I've seen someone of that race in Star Wars. In any case, that's kind of her vibe. You know, that's why she wears a blindfold. The book does tackle drug abuse. It does have a lot of sensitive topics in them. I think they're handled very well. You know, I think her writing style, it allows her to, you know, deal with aspects that are somewhat triggering, but in a very tasteful and humane way that make them less triggering, in my personal opinion. I think Broadbent does a really, really good job with her writing. After that, Death's End. I liked it. I didn't love it. I liked it more than The Dark Forest. I think it moved at a quicker pace, but for some reason, nothing is living up to the three-body problem for me. And I think the reason is because three-body problem, you know, we're solving this mystery of what is the three-body problem. We're going into this world, you know, this virtual reality to kind of solve it. And I think what I really was expecting was a battle, an epic space battle between the Trisolarans. That's something I was expecting from book 1. And books 2 and 3 just failed to deliver it. I understand, you know, just the story and the direction it was going. That, you know, like, oh, war is the least of our problems because the universe is about to explode, kind of thing. Pocket universes and everything. But I don't know. I just didn't have that rising tension that the first book had. So it was a struggle for me. I kind of gave up physically reading it just so that I could listen to the audiobook. And I think the audiobook was a better route for me to go, because it still just wasn't living up to that first book. I love the three-body problem. That book was phenomenal. I cannot wait to, now that I've read all 3 of the books, I cannot wait to watch the show. I just kind of failed to keep me engaged. Like, I maybe part of it was reader's fatigue. Again, 20 books in October. I really was not reading as fast as I normally do. I was quite tired a lot of times. There were times my husband would wake me up and I'd have a book like open on my chest because I fell asleep and I didn't even realize it. And it's very rare that I fall asleep reading. Like, I have to be like dead tired, and that happened a lot. So maybe that's part of why I didn't enjoy it as much. And maybe if I had just stuck to reading it versus audiobooking it, I would have been more engaged. But who knows? I do have the books. I can always go back and reread them when hell freezes over, because who knows what time is a construct. But it is one I have to live by and abide by, and I have very limited time in which to read all the books that I want to read. But, you know, I think it's an interesting premise. I liked the premise. I think the characters in this one were better than the characters in the first book. I liked the plot twist. I think I really just wanted that epic space battle. I think that's really what I wanted. For sure. And it just didn't give that to me. I followed that up with my book club pick for Read With Things Workshop, Girl Goddess Queen. Whew. I could not put this book down. This is a book I like almost sped through. I had to force myself to stop reading it because it was so good. In fact, I could not stop reading it, and I'm just like, oh, I don't want to do things like but read my book. So I like ended up getting the audiobook, so that way I wouldn't have to put it down, and then I would just pick up. Like when I couldn't sit down and read, I had to, take care of the kids, do house chores, work. I'm like, audiobook. Let me listen to my book, because I didn't want to put it down. It was so good. I love the way Fitzgerald has respun the story of Persephone and Hades, how she escapes to hell seeking refuge because she does not want to get married, and her mom and Zeus are trying to find her the perfect match, and she's like, yeah, no thank you. So she goes and she hides in the underworld, and I think it's really good. I love her so much, and I think this is a slow burn, okay? It is a slow burn. But I really love the way the slow burn was done, because Fitzgerald spends 75% of the book building first the friendship between Hades and Persephone, and then you have that mounting tension between them where I just wanted to shake both of them and be like, just admit your feelings for one another, damn it. I was very emotionally invested in their relationship. I very much was. I just wanted to go into the book and shake them and be like, you love her, you love him, just admit it. Because they each have feelings for each other, and they each think the other one doesn't have feelings for them. So whenever one of them acts on their feelings, they get really shy, and they're like, oh, sorry, let's just forget it happened. I'm like, no, you idiots. It was so cute. I love them so much. And Styx, she's amazing. She like calls them out on their shit. She's like the best friend they never had, and it's adorable. And then that last quarter of the book is really building up their romance. It's like everything comes to a head, and it was so worth it. It was so worth it. Absolutely love it, and especially if you are a fan of Lore Olympus, you're gonna love this. It's very. These are definitely different characters than are represented in Lore Olympus, but the vibes are still similar. And I just love how protective Persephone becomes of her cinnamon roll husband. Because it's just like perfect. It's perfect. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I just loved it. Okay? I loved it. I read A Fate So Cold after that. So this is by Amanda Foody and Seal Herman. They did All of Us Villains duology. I love that duology, and I loved this book. It's similar in the way that it deals with magic, kind of, but we have our wands, and they are living wands. It's really unique. We have our living wands, and some of the wands are a little creepy because they're living. They're actual living entities that go into hibernation when they don't bond with a mage. And we have Valmordian, which is our chosen one's wand. It's been in hibernation. Finally woke up. Why? Because winter is coming. So winter is thought to be, just think winter, Game of Thrones kind of winter. It's thought to be like this nightmarish thing that they need summer mages. Everyone's basically a summer mage to defeat and fight back the winter gas and everything. So enter Dominic, who everyone thinks is a screw up. He was traumatized from an incident with, again, a very creepy living wand that literally blew up its owner and went psychotic. And it traumatized him. So he, kind of became like a player, kind of like a burnout. He's not everyone's ideal choice for the chosen one, even though he's quite powerful and very brilliant, right? And then you have Ellery, and she's the other chosen one. She's the one everyone thought would be the chosen one, except guess what she is? A winter mage. No one's ever known of a winter mage before. They don't know what to think of her. They think she's dangerous, but they each get each other's bits of prophecies. They go from friends to lovers to enemies, because it turns out they have to fight each other, and they don't want to fight each other because they're in love with each other. And you're just like, ugh, that ending broke me, and I'm just like, mad because of the cliffhanger, and I'm just like, grrr, I need book 2 in my hands like now. It was really just, I think, excellent. It was unique. I love the world building as well. I think the world building was very unique. It did remind me a little bit of like 1920s, 1930s era US, but I think it did have a very unique, very fresh feel to it, and I love that about the book. After that, I picked up Impossible Creature. So this is the book I was reading to my son every single night, and he loved it, and I loved it too. There are moments that broke my heart, like with Gellifin and Mal at the end. I was just like, what? No. Especially with Gellifin, I was just like, I reread it twice, and I was so thankful my son had fallen asleep by the time I got to that part. I was just like, what? Not Gellifin? That scene really, really broke my heart. I was angry. I'm still angry. I'm still angry about that scene. It's awful. But, you know, there's a lot of allegories, I think, in the book. You know, no one's life is perfect. We do have to learn to deal with grief, and we do have to learn to deal with loss. And I think it's a very mature book for kids, but it's still a kid's book. You know, it very much is a kid's book. And I think it's beautiful, honestly. It was magical. It was fun, you know, to be in this new world, the archipelago, with these new fun, adventurous characters, you know. I think it was something definitely worth reading. And we already started book 2, The Poisoned King. We already started it with Christopher. And I think that's another reason why I liked it, because these kids reminded me so much of my kids. Christopher reminding me so much of my son, and Mal, as stubborn as she is and fierce and brave, reminded me so much of my daughter. So these two kids reminded me so much of my kids, and I think that's part of why I loved it so much, because I'm just like, I felt like I was reading my kids almost. After that, I read Golden Sun. Oh, that ending. I already started Morningstar. That ending. I'm angry. Like, what the fuck? That ending made me so angry. I love the novel. I love the story. I love the characters. Ragnar's great. Severo, my heart goes out to him. Fitchner, Mustang. I'm just gonna keep calling her Mustang. Vitra. I think these are such fun characters. But fuck the Jackal. Fuck Cassius. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. I feel like I can't properly talk about it without spoiling it. Even though it's been out for years, and I can probably spoil it, but I really don't want to, because there are people who are still reading the book or just getting into it. It's had like its own little mini resurgence, I feel like, in popularity, which is good, because it's so worth it. It's so well done. I love the politics that go into the book. I love the characters. I love the rebellion. I think it's just really, really well written and really, really well done. And I like how it just has expanded more upon book 1. In fact, it's so good. I'm so mad at that ending, though. So mad. Next up, I read Yuli, Guardians of Dawn Yuli by S.J. Jones. This is the 3rd novel in the Guardians of Dawn series, following Zara and Ami. So, think fairy tales meets magical girls meets Korean culture and folklore, and it's great, and I love everything about it. I will say this one differs from the first 2, because in the first 2, at the end, they succeeded, right, in what they needed to do. They lost in this one, kind of, sort of. It wasn't like a happy ending kind of ending. You know, it was bittersweet. It was a little heartbreak. They did fail in a way. And I think as someone who has seen Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura, you know, there are moments when our heroes do fail. And they have to rectify that and deal with it and just kind of be like, well, what are we going to do now, kind of thing, right? And Yuli, we know from, so think of this. Book 1, Zara, that was Cinderella. Book 2, Ami, Beauty and the Beast. Book 3, Red Riding Hood. Yuli is our Red Riding Hood. And her wolf is her love interest, the paper wolf, who tries to get the Guardians of Dawn secret organization that rescues magicians pieces of the lost manuscript that they're trying really, really hard to put back together so that they can seal the mother of 1,000 demons, right? Or 10,000 demons. I think it's 10,000 demons. It's such a fun novel. I love Yuli. I think she's so different from our previous two characters. And, you know, she is queer-coded as well. I was just really surprised that it didn't just end with yay, we sealed one of another demon lords, the moth demon, now we can go on. No, they have no idea who. They had to sacrifice someone in order to temporarily seal the doorway. It's not even a permanent sealing. They have no idea who the fourth guardian is, so they have to find the fourth guardian. Some of them have, you know, broken up. They separated because, you know, they were called to do something else. So really our guardians are together with their spirit animals. Cat, unicorn, giant hawk. And now they have to go find the water guardian. We got fire, earth, and wind. They're like kind of lost. They don't know what to do. They're just like, well, what do we do now? They're like, you know what? No, we'll regroup and come together. But they have temporarily failed in their mission. And I think that that's really interesting because you don't really see them fail in the previous two books. In this one, they did, in a way, fail. It was not a perfect win for them. And I think that that's really great. Speaking of magical girls, I read Cardcaptor Sakura Volume 2, the Collector's Edition. I love Cardcaptor Sakura, but the whole teacher student relationship thing, I mean, that's questionable. That's questionable. I'm trying not to let that color how I view the book, because I love the artistry, I love the voice. It really just makes me want to go back and rewatch Cardcaptor Sakura. Also, when am I going to be getting Clear Card Season 2 that was confirmed back in 2023? When is that happening? Come on. Come on, guys. I love Cardcaptor Sakura. I really do, as much as I love Sailor Moon. These are my magical girls that I grew up watching. I have a pink purse. Everyone's shocked that it's mine because I'm me. And I'm like, it's Cardcaptor Sakura. Okay. That's the only way. I like the storytelling. I like the character. I like the queerness in it. I think that that's something you see a lot in Japanese media. And there's queerness in media, you know, in their manga, in their animes. It's always kind of there. So I really liked seeing that in this one as well. Her friend is totally in love with her, and then her brother and her crush, they're swoony. I think it's really, really good storytelling. It's really fun. I love it. I loved every moment of it. So yeah, those are the 14 books that I read this month. Wish me luck for December. Let me know in the comments what you read this month. If you read anything I did, what were your opinions? You agree, disagree? Let's have a discussion. On that note, thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your book loving friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.